This is lesson 15, and in this lesson we're going to walk our way through a couple of different examples of how to use methods. The first such example is we're going to write a program that, quote, sings the Old MacDonald children's song. And in order to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to basically write a method that sings a verse of that song, and we will pass to this method the name of the animal and the noise that the animal makes. In order for us not to have to type the verse itself, what we're going to do first is in the assignment itself, you can see that I gave you the lyrics for one verse of the song. In this case, it's a cow that says moo. So we're going to use this text. We're going to actually just paste it into our file, and unfortunately you will notice that it's actually pasting it all in one line. So the first thing that I'm going to do is to actually put everything back on multiple lines as it should. And in order for us to work with this code and have it actually be able to be used for different animals, we're going to put it inside of a method. We're going to call the method singVerse, and it's going to take two arguments, two parameters. The first is an animal, and then is the noise that this animal makes. And then what this method is going to do is that it's going to use puts statements. So again, I'm putting puts around each line, each of the verse, like this. Take me a second to do that. And you will notice that if that's all we do, then really this sing verse will do nothing but sing about a cow that says moo. So we need to make some changes to it. First of all, I'm going to add a puts at the end of this method, and that's just so that there's a blank line in between each verse. So what I really want to do is that I don't want to just print a cow here. I actually want the sing verse to use the name of the animal. So we're going to use string interpolation, as we've done before, and we're going to put the name of the animal in that string. And then everywhere we see this moo right here, we are going to use string interpolation with the noise that the animal makes. And in order to make things a little more expedient, I'm going to copy and paste in the various moos that we find in this method. Okay, so hopefully I've got it now. OldMacDonald at the farm, E-I-E-I-O. You know, that farm, he had an animal, E-I-E-I-O, with a noise here, a noise there. Here a noise, there a noise, everywhere a noise. OldMacDonald at the farm, E-I-E-I-O. Very good. So let's see what happens if we create now a method called OldMacDonald. And this method is just going to call on singVerse of a cow that says moo. So what happens when I do this, and I actually call on OldMacDonald, which you can do like this, or you can put parentheses if you want to remind yourself that this is actually a method. What happens is when Ruby gets to this line, it says, oh, I need to call a method singVerse. And the first parameter to pass is cow, the second is moo. When control then moves on to this singVerse method, you have a local variable called animal that takes on the value cow, and then another parameter called noise that takes on the value moo, and therefore these variables can be used in string interpolations to print the actual verse. So we're going to here then say Ruby old2.rb is the name of my file, and let's reset this a little bit so we can see it better, and you can see it says actually the verse properly with the correct animal and the correct noises. So the real advantage, I mean, so far what we have done does not really show why a method is so useful, because frankly, we could have done all of this, all these puts inside of OldMacDonald and be done. The real win comes in when we want to do a second verse. Instead of copy and pasting what we did up in sing verse, we can simply call on sing verse, and we can just give it another animal. So this time, it's a pig that says oink, and then we can actually do a cat that says meow. And now not only does my code look much more readable, because I can look at OldMacDonald and say, oh look, there are 3 verses, one with a cow, a pig, and a cat, but also the fact that I kind of delegate the work of putting the text onto the screen to sing verse means that if I actually had to make a change, say that I had a typo and I just said something like this, or MacDonald, and I'd forgotten the A, I could just change the A right here in sing verse once, and it will fix it for every verse of the song. So now let's play the song again, or rather than look at the lyrics again, and you can see that I'm getting all 3 verses, one with a cow that says moo, one with a pig that says oink, and one with a cat that says meow. Question came up in class as to, but could we also just prompt the user for what kind of animal he or she wants? And the answer is absolutely. So in this case, we could say print animal question mark, and then we could have A is gets.chomp, and we're going to assume that the user will be matching the animal to the noise, because obviously we have no way of knowing. And we're going to say n is equal to gets.chomp. So basically now we have 2 local variables, one A with the animal name, n with the animal noise, and then the last verse of the song can be call sing verse with A and n. So now what's going to happen is when I run actually this Ruby code, it will actually ask me for an animal. So I will add the chicken as my animal, and the chicken will cluck. And now I get 4 verses: the cow that says moo, the pig that says oink, the cat that says meow, and the chicken that says cluck. The second part of today's class and exercise is really actually to explain to you the concept of future value and how we compute interest for an investment, and ask you to write a couple of methods that will actually implement such a scheme. So let me actually just show you in this case. Let me just show you what the code that I wrote in class, and then we can talk about it. So the basic mechanism for the way an interest rate and an investment grows over time is as follows. Let's say that I start year 1 with a principal of $100, and that the interest rate is 5% per year. What that means is that the bank gives me 5% on my principal at the end of the year. 5% of $100 is $105. If I leave the money in the bank, I will actually start year 2 with $105, the same as I had at the end of year 1. But this time the bank will pay me 5% of my $105 principal. And so I will actually earn $5.25 on year 2 for a total of $110.25. Year 3, we start again with $110.25. We earn 5% on that money, and we have now $115.76. You notice we make a little more money every year because our balance, our principal, is larger every year. So we're going to show how the investments grow over time with a couple of methods. The main method is called FutureValue, and what you should do in it is you should prompt the user for the principal. That's just a number, so you can make it a float, basically, for dollars and cents. We're going to prompt the user for an interest rate, and you should use a float as well. something like 0.05 or 5%. That would be easier than having to put that as a string with the percent sign and having to parse it. And then a number of years, you're leaving the money in the bank, in integer. Then what you're going to do is you're going to write a loop for every year that was given by your user. And for every year, you're going to call add interest, the other method, with the principal for that year and the rate at which the money grows, which is the same every year. And this method will actually return the new balance. It will return basically what's written here on the right-hand side of each line. And then FutureValue will print the value that has been returned by add interest. What does add interest do? It takes on two parameters: principal, which is the money at the beginning of the year, rate, which is the rate at which the money grows every year, and it will do a simple calculation. It should really be just one line, which will return the amount of money you have after the interest has been applied. This is actually your homework for Monday, and this concludes lesson 15.